everybody. Chris Kiblin here with Suited for Greatness podcast. I will be your host, and I am with a very special guest, Blake Fitzpatrick from Sunshine Movers. Welcome, Blake. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me here.
Excited to have you right before Christmas. So,
yeah,
2 more days. So excited to have you on. One of the things that I've really was, when we talked about having you on the podcast is really everything that you do. It's kind of amazing. I sit here and I watch you. You run a very successful moving business, but you're all over the place. When I see you, you're kind of a bunch of different events and everything else. So it's kind of well, I really wanted to have you on here because that's the thing is the marketing is a huge thing. So, but before we get started, I do want to give a huge shout out to Tweeds Custom Suits, one of our sponsors. I'm wearing one of his gray ones today. If you got questions, please reach out to me and I'll hook you up with Don or Rob. I know you got a suit coming up, right?
I do. Yeah.
And that's supposed to be coming here in the next few years. It's already here, right?
Yep. I had to make a little bit of an adjustment on it, but yeah, it came out. It's sharp too. I like it.
What color is it?
It's blue.
Blue?
It's blue.
Okay.
It's a little bit. It's not the typical blue that you see. I wanted it to be something slightly different. If I'm gonna get a custom suit, my first custom suit after, I want to get something.
I always tell everybody, I was like, if you're, especially if you're a guy, right? If you can do one thing for yourself, is buy yourself a custom suit. Don was on me for a long time about getting a custom suit, and I wouldn't do it, and he kind of wore me down, and he finally got one. I know you got a story about that one, but I also want to thank Preferred Shores for allowing us to use their special studio here at the Preferred Shore office, and their team and the professionals of everybody that does everything for us. We're a huge thank you for them. But kind of going back to the Tweeds Custom Suits and your suit, I know there's a little bit of a story about that. You were telling me before we got started, so why don't you kind of give us that?
Let's break the ice. So Tweeds. It's the cool thing to do, right? Everybody's getting a Tweeds suit. I'm gonna tell you something. Maybe 3 years ago, I didn't own a suit. I didn't own a single suit. You talk about me going out and being everywhere and doing this and doing that. That kind of forced me to up my game when it comes to my wardrobe. So I remember my first couple of suits that I got, I just went and bought them off the shelf. I didn't know what they were supposed to even feel like when they fit. I was like, okay, I can put this on. Well, now I go get one of these custom suits, and man, what a difference! When they shape it right to your body. And you're right. Everybody should own a suit. I had somebody the other day. They said, I don't want to wear suits. I don't want to have to dress up. Well, here the truth is I got to go out there and get my name out there. And I can tell you right now, when you come in dressed sharp, people talk to you different. Yeah. When you have respect for yourself and the way that you dress, when you talk to people, they're going to have respect for you, and they'll get you in positions and places that, especially coming from me. I grew up wearing jean shorts, man.
I know.
Jean shorts, right? I'll admit it. I did it.
I grew up in Baltimore, and we just, hate to say it, but we were white trash.
That's what it is. I owned a business. I started a business, and I'm a business owner, and I'm learning as I go. And one of the things I learned really quickly is people talk to you different when you dress nice. And I'm in a position where I'm trying to get in front of everybody. So, but man, I gotta give it to them. Tweeds, man. I put that jacket on. I was like, oh, now I see why everybody's paying this money for these nice jackets.
It's a little expensive. I'm not.
I didn't think it was too bad. I've heard costs at other places. Yeah. If you go to get a custom suit, even at some of these other, the big shops or whatever, it's not too far off from there. But the experience that you get with Tweeds is just a different feeling for it, and so that's just what I like about it. And so, but there was. Let's go into the part because the person that you went and saw. Yeah. Let's talk about that because I think it was that's
Trevor,
a good part
right?
of business. Yeah, it goes. We'll talk. We'll talk about Tweeds, and it's also going to bring in what I do in my business and how I like to create two-way streets of referrals. So yes, I've always knew that at some point I'm going to get me a jacket from Tweeds or a suit. I got the whole thing, not just a jacket. But then a friend of mine, Trevor. So Trevor, he works at Tweeds now, but fun fact about Trevor is he used to have a moving service company. And as much as you'd think that we'd be competing, maybe we did at times, but we never looked at it like that. If I ever had moves that was better suited for him, I would refer him to him. And if he ever had moves that were better suited for me, he would refer them to me. And I appreciate that. So when I found out that he was at Tweeds, I'm like, man, I've been saying I need to go get a jacket or a suit from Tweeds. Well, now I got a real reason to, because I like to give people business in appreciation for when they pass me business. And sometimes I strategically will pass business to somebody knowing that I want to get business from him.
Right.
So let me go buy his product, whether it's vitamins or a suit or anything you can think of, whatever if there's somebody out there, I'd like to do that. So that's a little tip for me to anybody else. You go out and you give people business, you get it back. It's giver's gain.
Yeah.
Know?
Well, one of the things that part of the reason why I do these podcasts is to give back to the community and help get your name out there, right? And then that was always my reasoning for starting these. And it's more for we're geared for business owners because the thing is like I know what it's like as a small business owner to build a business. And the thing is like if you look at data for marketing, the number one way to market yourself now is podcast. And so more people watch podcasts now more than any other place. So if you want to get your name out there, people are looking for podcasts to sit there and listen to or watch, right? It's better than a commercial. It's better than any type of other media that you can drive, just because people are out there looking for things. And they're looking for, if you're a business owner, how can I improve myself? And so what I wanted to do, because I know what I've gone through, is like, and I know almost every business owner that I know, they've all had their struggles, no matter who you're talking to, if it was Robert with Preferred Shores, who lost everything in 2008, right? I lost everything in 2014. And so like, you go through these trial and tribulations. And so business owners understand that. And so why I like to give back to the business owner is because small business owners are really the backbone of our society, right? I mean, they're the ones out there pushing it. They're the ones that employ other people. They're bringing people in. So when you first started, that's one of the things I want to talk to you about next. So when you decided to get into the moving business, talk a little bit about where you started from and how you got to be a business owner to where you are.
Do you want the how I started the company in there too?
Well, so like give me the backstory. So like, okay, so like, did you move? Were you a mover before?
You got it.
So
there you go. So yeah, I had nothing to do with the moving industry. I never picked up a piece of furniture. Didn't know nothing about it. My background is construction, mainly drywall. I used to hang, finish drywall, and I've done that for a while. And I have a buddy of mine who has like a handyman company, kind of do it all type of deal. One day he's doing this, the next day he's behind houses trimming mangroves and stuff, crazy stuff. So anyways, he needed some help with some drywall. He had a couple of big projects. He knew I knew how to do it. So I went and worked with him. And this is my buddy Matt. I ended up working with him for, I don't know how I got stuck with this guy, because I went out there I was supposed to help him for a week, and the next thing you know, like 5 weeks later, we're doing our 6th project together. But while I was working with him, I got a hint of what being a business owner looks like, because I got to ride in the car with him. I got to listen to him talk to customers. And so I started to have an eye for starting my own business, and I wanted to start a drywall company. I actually were coming up with names for it. I was coming up with ways to market it, what I thought was marketing at the time. And while I was going through this phase of like, hey, I want to start a drywall company, I was with Matt one day, and Matt got a call from his good friend, and his good friend happened to be somebody who owns a moving truck, kind of a moving company, I guess you'd say. It wasn't like some big name that you go and find online or anything. It was just a single guy with his single truck. And anyways, this guy with his truck his guys didn't show up this day. So he calls my buddy Matt, who I'm working with, said, hey, I need some help. Will you come out and help me? Matt says, hey, Blake, me. I'm like, I'll go. Sure, let's go. Right. So we go help this guy out. And so we go help him out. We do moving. I say we do moving. We do moving. I do moving for the first day ever. And I liked it. I really did. Because, you get to, I like to please people. I've learned that about myself. I like to take care of people. I like to see a smile on people's face when I do a service for them. And appreciation goes a long way for me. So when I'm out here and I'm working with clients, which on this day I was, they were happy with us. We made their move really nice and easy, and I had fun the entire time. And so at the end of the day, Mark's like, hey, I need help on this day and that day. Same guys that I needed today. They're probably not going to be here on this day and that day. I'm like, I'll be there. So that's how it went. About 30 days later, I was working with both of them, Matt and Mark, going back and forth. About 30 days, no more than 45 days after my first time moving a piece of furniture, my whole everything shifted. I said, you know what? And I even told Mark that had the moving truck, the moving company. I said, Mark, I'm going to buy a truck, and we're gonna tag team this thing. I said, you know, if I can book some jobs, you can come with me. If you book a job, I'll go with you, and eventually we'll hire some people. And I had this big idea, and that's how it started. It's not how it ended though. I bought a truck, and that was the plan. I'm going to buy a truck. We're going to work together. Within a couple of months, it was maybe a little longer than that, me and Mark ended up going different ways. He had his moving company, I had mine, and we just kind of went different ways. Nothing wrong, nothing bad about that. And from there on, I was pretty much kind of on my own, and I built Sunshine Movers inadvertently. I just wanted one truck. I just wanted to work for myself. I did the math. I'm like, okay, if I charge X amount of dollars per hour, that means I pay that guy this, I pay for fuel, and then I get to make that. That's all I wanted. And then just good things kept happening. I found good guys, and then we got a deal on another truck. That was exciting. Buying the second truck, that was like, holy crap, this is, when you buy one truck, it's cool, it's great. But now I got 2 trucks. Now I'm a company owner.
Oh, wow.
But that's how it happened. It was inadvertently. We went from 2 trucks to 3 trucks to 4 trucks to 5 trucks. So now we have 12 trucks, and we have a van. We have, almost 40 employees. Like, who would ever thought that we'd get to this? It's just one little step at a time.
That's kind of incredible that you started off, and 45 days later you start a company, and and the next thing you know, now you're. And what was that time frame? I mean, how far? When did
From
you
the
start
first truck to the second truck, I think it was about a year. About a year.
When did you start the company? When did you start?
Started it 10 years ago, actually.
Okay.
We've just completed 10 years in business about 15 days ago.
Wow.
Yeah, we started it in December.
Congratulations.
And I remember my first bookkeeper, she's like, why couldn't you wait till January?
Right. So you got, all right, so 10 years in business, and then you started from just you by yourself. 45 days later, after doing drywall, decided to start a moving company. Yeah. And I mean, that's pretty...
I'm grateful too. I'm glad I did, because man, drywall, I'm going to tell you something about drywall. You go into the same room, the same house, the same building, and you look at the same wall, and it's just nobody around you. It's just you and a mud pan and a bunch of guys, and it's not nearly as fun as moving. We have stories in the moving industry, crazy customers, crazy scenarios, crazy moves. I mean, giant Buddha statue type of deal, like just moving the craziest things that you could ever imagine touching. The first hand-drawn, pencil-drawn of Princess Leia with the buns. That's the way I was told, the way I was understanding it. It was the first time she was ever sketched with buns in her hair.
Really?
And the guy who owns it, we moved him. And it was along with a whole bunch of other crazy stuff right here in downtown Sarasota. But yeah, that was one of them. And I come to find out, that was the reason why it jumped out to my attention, is because it was on the high-value list. Okay. And I'm like, what is this? What is this? We're valued at that. And come to find out, it was the first sketch of Princess Leia with buns. Like the craziest stuff that we see. It's insane here.
So, all right. So you left the drywall business, and 45 days later, you own a truck, and so now you're in the moving business. Okay, obviously that's not easy, because how did you start getting customers? I mean, you got to start building it, and where did they come from?
Yeah, I didn't know what I know today. And you know what I loved? I love getting a hold of people that start a business, that go from an employee to an employer, because there's so much learning curves that are really not that hard, but we make them hard because we don't know anything. We don't, unless you have a mentor or family members, which I never had any of that. I don't have any family members that own a business. I did not have mentors in the beginning. And I love grabbing people and kind of showing them stuff, because it's easy. It really is easy. But when you don't know it, it can be hard. Exactly. And I think the hardest part is when you don't know you're doing the right thing. Like, okay, I think this works. Yeah, that's the worst. That's the worst. But when I first started, it was Craigslist. I used Craigslist. I used that to market. I market. I put, things on there to where we could get jobs through Craigslist. Thumbtack was a big deal back then. Now I don't use any lead providers now, and I understand that Thumbtack is not anything like it used to be. So I'm not trying to say, hey, go jump on Thumbtack. But at the time, it was a newer thing, and it worked well. I think I was paying like $30 to $50 a lead that would actually book, compared to now. I think they're getting like $125 whether you book or not. It's just not the same. And I think the quality of the leads gone down. But that's actually how I started. That was what helped us grow, was Thumbtack. And true story. This is interesting. I'll go ahead and share this. One of my first employees, come to find out, he was in the process of starting his own company, but didn't tell me. Oh, wow. And was doing it very secretly. And, you know, I support anybody. I support other business owners, moving company owners in the area. I'm friends with them. It's fine. If he would have wanted to do that, he can do that. And, you know, I guess kind of we are kind of still, we're not friends, but if I ever see him, it's hello, I'm nice about it. Right. But here's what this guy did. He knew that I was having success with Thumbtack. And this was me being open with my employee, because I'm the one in the moving truck with him. We're going doing jobs together. So I'm the owner, but I'm also right next to him. But come to find out, he knew what we charged on Thumbtack because I was open about it.
Right.
So what he did is he went and created his own profile on Thumbtack and started as a company, and he was $5 per man an hour cheaper than us to get the jobs. And then he even tried to play a game with me. I don't care if he sees this. It is what it is. He knows. And then he tries to tell me, hey, you should charge a little bit more, a little bit more. He knew what he was doing. He was trying to take jobs away. You know?
Wow.
These are some of the challenges that you deal with. That you know, you don't even think about this stuff. But here's the difference of me to somebody else. Somebody else would have reacted when they found out and made a big deal out of it that could hurt them.
Exactly.
That's one thing about being a business owner is you have to be careful. You have to pick your battles.
Exactly.
You have to pick your wars. If you can stay out of war, the best way to win a war is not to get into it. So with this guy, I was able to just get him to go away. I didn't tell him what I knew. He doesn't need to know any of that stuff. You can find out now. It's been like 9 years. But you know, this was one of my first challenges. Well, going through that, I realized Thumbtack is not the only source of leads that I can be going after, because it just goes to show you how easy it is for somebody to come along and take it.
Right. Exactly.
So that's when I got into Google. I started looking at Google, this crazy monster of Google, what Google is, and I started figuring out, you know, if I put $100 into here and it'll get a couple of jobs out of me over here, I was like, okay, let's do that again. And that's what we did. And we were just paying for the Google ads and didn't realize what SEO was. And that was my getting into marketing. And I'm glad that guy Joe did what he did on Thumbtack to me, because I would have never went and found Google. I would never had the mindset of not being you cannot get comfortable with a source of jobs. And you know, you brought something up about going out networking and stuff like that. So with Google, you have SEO, search engine optimization.
Right.
We got I put 6 figures into my SEO in a 2-year period. It doubled my company. SEO is not, put it out there, SEO is not the same as it was 7 years ago. It's completely changed. SEO is a whole different monster. But I would have never realized what SEO was and to put that number in there if it had not been for Joe that pushed me there. Well, now we're doing SEO and things are great. Well, then I noticed that we have some companies in the area, not even in this area, but just companies in a St. Pete, Tampa area, and their search engine optimization, their SEO is on fire. I'm like, wow, that is good. I like that. Well, what that reminded me was, don't get comfortable. So then I realized as Florida was booming, right?
Yep, we're growing like crazy.
A lot of moving companies were watching Florida.
Yeah.
A lot of them came down and opened up, thankfully, because we have Tampa, and I think it's Naples. Those are 2 hot spots. So a lot of these moving companies that decided to come open up shop in Florida, they're in Orlando, Tampa, Naples. They didn't come to Sarasota. Thankfully. But I had it in the back of my head that one of these big companies are going to come out here and dump a bunch of money, because what they do is they'll come in. They don't care about making profit. They just want the market share.
Right.
And they'll take the market share without a profit just to own the area. And so I'm thinking, okay, some of these big companies are going to come down here, drop all this money, and then push me out when it comes to SEO. What can I do? Network marketing. You can take my spot on SEO, you can take my spot over here, but you can't take my relationships. That's what I told myself. And that was about 3 years ago.
Yep.
That was when the boom started happening.
Yeah, exactly.
So about
21.
3 years ago. And that's when I realized, like, my referral partners will never go anywhere. And if I can double down on this, I have nothing to worry about. You know, that's the foundation of a company, is your relationships. Mm-hmm. You get leads, you got SEO over here. That stuff can fade away anytime, any day. But you can't take away my relationships unless I turn into a prick and start doing bad things, which I'm not going to do. But so that's why I push so hard on these relationships. And you see me going out here, man. It's not easy. Oh my gosh,
it's not.
It's one after another, after another, after another.
Plus, you're still running your company, because that's the thing. Is like, you know, what people don't realize is like, and people are always like, wow, you're out everywhere, and you know, and don't forget, I still got to run a company. So like, yeah, I'm doing a podcast today, but then I got to go work, and then like a lot of times I'll have appointments. So let's say we do the podcast now. Luckily today, you know, it's right before Christmas, so I'm slow. So like, you know, but like typically I would go have appointments. and then I'd have to go home and work all night to get caught up on everything, like a loan application came in, or going after conditions, or whatever I'm doing for the business part of it, because I still got to run my business. So like, even though I'm out here because I got to bring in the business, you still got to run your business. And so like a lot of people don't realize is like, okay, well, why? Because it's like I get up at 4:30 in the morning, and they're like, why do you get up so early? I was like, because if I don't get up early and start working, like I miss time. And so, but you got to remember that you got to constantly be bringing in business. You got to constantly be going after those relationships and building those relationships and nurturing those relationships, because you can also lose those relationships too.
Oh, yes.
And so the thing is like, if you're not careful and you don't stay up on those relationships, well, the next guy, next shiny object might look a little bit better, because you haven't reached out to that person or whoever. So you got to be careful of your, on how you do things and how, because like as soon as you start, and maybe this is just me, and you tell me too, is like, I feel like as soon as I start letting my foot off the pedal, then all of a sudden my business slows down. And like, so I'm always constantly keep pushing the pedal, and and right or wrong, you still got to figure out your personal life, and you got to have that balance, because that is one thing I've learned this year, is to have balance and to make sure I have balance. But like the thing is like, as soon as you stop, you think you're okay. It's not. So
get a nice slice of humble pie.
Oh yeah, you get slapped in the face real quick.
I had that happen this year, actually. I thought I thought we were at a point where we could just buy the trucks, hire the guys, which is a whole nother ball game of its own, especially if you have high quality and you want high standards. But hire the guys, get the trucks, and we're unstoppable. We're going to be busy for years. We don't have to do anything differently. And then, and I know a lot of people felt this, but this year, right after May, the whole economy, everything was like, what's going on? We had the presidential election floating around.
Yep.
Then you had the interest rates that were coming down, and then come to find out they were technically already down. So you had this like standstill in the real estate industry, and it hit us hard. And it's the middle of summer. That's our busy time. And I had to answer to my guys. I had to answer to them why we're slowing down when we're not supposed to be slowing down. We're over here doubling down. We just bought a truck. We just hired 2 or 3 more guys, which are super hard to do because it's hard to find good guys, but we got them. And we get them in, and all of a sudden now I got guys going back to 20 hours a week, 25 hours a week. This isn't supposed to be like that. And I felt the need. I addressed my entire crew, my entire company. I said, guys, I wasn't expecting this, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to fix it. I now realize that there's no sitting back. No. And what did I do? I went and doubled down. I went everything that we could do in terms of events. I went and looked at Venice. We joined the Venice Realtors Association. I stepped up and joined the committee for the Real Estate Association. I got more involved. We started doing more for the community.
Well, that was the thing, is like I saw you come out of like nowhere, like, and I'm pretty involved, but like all of a sudden I just saw you and your wife. You guys are really involved in the community and really involved into the real estate part of it, and so like, I mean, you could tell that you doubled down. Like
we doubled down. That's what it was. So, I mean, we were already doing that because we already knew each other. We'd already been bumping elbows here and there. But then it got to the point, it's like bumping elbows, knees, fist bumps, everything. Like every day, we're there. You are there. They are. But yeah, we doubled down. Everything we could be a part of, we said yes, 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 yes. We going out knocking on doors and making sure that our relationships are being nurtured, because you are correct. And that's something I do want to mention if anybody's listening. When you're creating relationships with people, you kind of look at it as different levels. And the highest level of a relationship is a friendship. That's hands down. And I mean a real friendship, like where I can trust you or you can trust me, or not even trust, but just feel good enough to where I want you to come have dinner with my family, or
pick up the phone, or just go grab lunch or something like that.
That's like the highest level, and that's what I go for. But not all of my referral partners are somebody that would want to be friends with me. I mean, I'm 36 years old, and I have referral partners that are much older, much younger, and maybe I'm not their cup of tea, but they like to refer us because we do a good job for their clients. So we may not get to that friendship level. They may stay at a couple notches down from there, but those are the ones that you got to nurture. Like if they send you a referral, you better pick up the phone and say thank you.
Exactly.
Or write them a letter or something. Yeah. But then I got friends, if they refer us, honestly, I don't have to say anything. I'll see them next week at lunch or dinner or whatever it is, Right. So there's different levels. And you're right, though. You have to keep going out there and hitting them. And I also learned from doubling down so many people come up like, hey man, I see you over here. Hey man, I see you over there. I feel like I need to come and get to know you more.
Yeah.
Like I've had, different industry leaders and people in whole different, aspects of real estate community, because that's what it really is, a giant real estate community. But they just come up like, hey man, I see what you did over here. Hey man, I heard about you did something good for my friend over there. So it's really interesting watch it unfold right now. It does come at a price. You're right. It does come at a price. It takes a lot from us, especially when we have to run our own business. But that's where self-discipline comes in, because you're not going to be able to do this. You're not going to be able to go to an event tonight and then show up to work for your team tomorrow morning if you're out getting hammered at that event.
Exactly. You got to balance it. And the thing is like and one of the things you also got to realize it too is like, look, I need to, not only for me, but like I have a team that's counting on me for business, right? They expect that paycheck, right? So like you got that in the back of your mind. When you run your own company, you got employees that are like, dude, I expect to get a paycheck next week. They're not expecting to like, hey, I've got to lay you off because the economy's bad. So like and
it's never an option for me.
And you don't want to have to ever get to that point, right?
No, not as hard as it is to find good people. Never in my life. I'll go out and flip a sign on the side of the road and hustle myself. I even got a sunshine costume. I'll go stand on the side of the road and flip a sign on the side of the road if that's what I got to do. I don't. The number one asset in my company is the people that work with us, and I say work with us, not for us. They work with us. We're a team, and I could never imagine having to start chopping off team members that I work so hard to get. No, I'll fight. I'll do whatever I got to do to keep them on board. Everything I can.
Yeah, it's important, because the thing is, I always tell people, you're only as good as the team, the people behind you. And so many people don't realize it. They think that they're the it factor. And like the thing is like there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, like even in my world, where people work behind me that people don't even know. That they don't even know who they are. And so like, but there's people doing things that are doing to help run the company. And and so like, yeah, I might be the face of my company and you might be the face of your company. But the thing is like, you know what? If it wasn't for whoever, your wife or whoever else is helping you out, it doesn't make anything, a difference, because you can only do so much. And, we can only do so much. Like I can't do everything. And so if you don't got the people behind you that will do that job to make you look good, and, the thing is like the last thing, and I've known very successful people that have gotten very successful and treat their employees like crap. And the problem is they can't keep anybody. Nobody stays on their team. Nobody stays on them. And yeah, they might be successful, but the problem is then you start seeing them dip and you start seeing them fall because of the fact is they can't treat people right. And so like that's the thing. So let's go back to, because one of the things, and I just, what did I use you probably 6 months ago? I don't know. What was it, 8 months ago, 10 months ago? I don't even know how long it was. Back in February, I think. Yeah. So I use your company. And one of the things that I realized when you guys moved me is the professionalism, that the way that your guys came to my house, the way that they packed everything and the way they took care of everything. And I've had other moving companies in the past move me, but like I did notice such a different way of the way they did it to make sure it was like, I must felt like you got that white glove treatment that, they wanted to make sure everything was perfect when they took it out of the house to when they put it on the truck to off everything else. Like the way that they packed it, the way they make sure everything is like, it was such a different experience, because it's like, I have never, like I've had people move me before, but one of the things that really stood out to me is the way that you guys put my mattress in a bag. I know that's weird and something simple, but like nobody's ever done that. And well, so
keep in mind that's, you lay on that thing.
Yeah,
you put your, you spend half your life laying on that thing. We want to make sure, the last thing we want to do is get your mattress dirty. There's some people are very peculiar, pillows and stuff like that. But I do want to say something, because you said how good of a job they've done compared to others. You compare them to another company. Truthfully, though, whether you hire one company or another company to do your move, each one of them are equally capable. Those people that showed up at the door, unless they hired them off the street and they had no skill whatsoever and they were just complete sleazeballs. But for the most part, each one of those companies, the crews that they send out, each one are capable of doing the same good job. One of the biggest differences in us is the culture. We make sure that the guys feel appreciated. We make sure that they feel good, and we instill the culture of taking care of the customer into what we do, and that's reminded to them every day. And it's done through the bonus programs that we have, the attaboys, the recognitions, things like that. Everything is pointed towards taking care of the customer, the success of the move. And when you point the culture at that, the attaboys, remembering who we are, why we're here, and what we do, and just saying, guys, there's a reason why everybody wants to work here, and that you guys work for the company that's like, the highest of the high out here. And they're proud of that. They're proud to put on a Sunshine shirt because of that. And if you just continue to embrace that culture, the guys are going to show up and they care. I had a motto for the longest. It still is a motto. It's we take care of our crew, so they take care of you, and that's what we do. We cook them breakfast. We had our Christmas party yesterday, and how cool of a Christmas party where one of my guys shows up in a Santa Claus suit, and usually it's the owners giving out checks and stuff. There's people giving us Christmas cards. How awesome is that?
So that's the environment that you build, right? So and the thing is like what happens is then that's when you see success, right? So when you give back to your employees and you take care of your employees, and a lot of times, unfortunately, we see business owners who run their employees like they're employees, and then a lot of, in the way that I look at my people, I always look at them as family. Like you become family, once you start working with me and that kind of thing. And I think that they're proud to come to work, right? Because they want to come to work with you. They're happy to come to work. Once you build that environment, because there's a quote out there: people don't leave bad companies; they leave bad leaders. And so it all starts at the top, right? And so that's the thing, is like if you got good leaders up top and they're really helping you and they're helping you grow and they understand what you want, right? And if there's a hey, you get people that like in my business, well, I want to like eventually run my own thing or do my own thing, or if you help them grow and you help them get to what level they want to be at.
That's another one. That's what we're trying to do right now. I've been watching some very, very, very big businesses, $200 million a year businesses. Well, one specifically. And one of the things that they do, and we just started developing this, is finding out the goals of each employee, personal goals, and how those goals can be achieved through their career. And it's interesting that once you get to know people and find out what they want in life, how easily you can attach that to the growth of the company. For example, we have somebody right now, he announced it yesterday at the Christmas party. He's got his first child on the way. He's super excited, super awesome, super happy for him. His name is Sean. Love Sean. He's one of our drivers. And this is a great example. He's going to have needs in his life now, having a child on the way, financial needs, time away. He's going to go join his other half when they go and go through the doctor visits and stuff like this. And so this is a great example of, you can find out what is your goals. Do you want to own a house? How can I help you do that? And it's not just, well, here's your paycheck, have at it, boy. No, it ain't that. It's maybe sitting down with him, maybe sharing some insight that I have. Maybe I remind them that I have people that can help you attain those things, mortgage lenders, realtors, so on and so forth. And just being more than an employer, but helping them achieve their goals. Like come on, man. Put the company away, put everything else away. I'm talking about when I'm 75 years old and I'm sitting there like, how did I do with my life? And I look back and if I've got people that I help them get into stuff like that, to the hell with the company. That's just awesome as it is. But let's be real, that's going to help the company grow and do awesome things.
Right. And that's the thing, is like I think building the company or building what you're looking for, like one of the biggest things that I always looked at is like, okay, people are like, especially in my job, right? Because I'm a commission-based job. I get paid when the loan closes, right? So a lot of times we put a lot of work into loans up front, and they may never buy anything, right? So which means that I never made anything off of them. However, I still give every one of my clients the same respect, no matter if you're buying a $100 $100,000 house, or if you're buying a $10 million house.
Is there a $100,000 house anywhere around here? Let me know.
You'd be surprised. I mean, so it doesn't matter what they're doing. So like the thing is the way that I've always looked at it, right? You treat everybody the same. You treat them all with respect, because that same $100,000 person might know somebody buying $1 million property. And so because you took care of them, you never know about the referrals that you're going to get. And that is huge. And I think there's a lot of missed opportunities with people. They don't realize that.
Breadcrumbs.
And it's just, and I think when I look at it, and I have a client like that, and it's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, I will take care of you. Even if you can't buy now, let's say that we need to work on your credit, or we need to help you with a down payment, or figure out how to get a down payment. The thing is like, I might help you now, but later on down the road, I can get you to the point where you can buy, right? That gives back to them, because if they feel like they have a goal to achieve now, right? Home ownership is one of the biggest things that people look at in America. And so and that's really a driving force for our economy. So I want to do everything I can to help somebody get a house. And so how do we figure it out? How can we make it work? And so that is the biggest thing for me. And then and then it's also okay, well, and I love referring out. So if I have a client who needs a mover, or needs an insurance person, or needs a realtor, or something like that, because the people that helped me, I want to help them. And they help me be successful. So I want to give back. And so, that's the same reason why I do the podcast, is I want to figure out ways to give back, and especially to a community that's given me so much. And so it's I look at it from the standpoint is, the more that I can give back, everything else will come to me.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of my favorite things. What's this guy's name? He builds custom homes. Oh, I've talked about him before, and I could never remember his name. I don't know why, because he's a big influence to me. His name is Rob Allegra. Okay. I don't talk to Rob Allegra anymore. We stopped doing his moves a long time ago when we got big and fancy and expensive. Well, we're not expensive. Let me take that back. We just weren't charging these super low cost, trying to get our lives figured out costs back in the day. We're not doing that anymore. I remember I was charging $75 for everything.
Oh, wow.
$75 an hour. That's 2 men, a truck, all the materials, all the fuel, all of it. That's crazy. People charge more than that per man per hour. But no, Rob Allegra, he's a home builder, very successful home builder here in Sarasota. And he said something to me one day, because I'll tell you this, when I first started my business, anytime I did a job for a business owner, somebody that was wealthy, somebody who owned businesses, anything like that, I would just watch and I'd listen. I'm like, ooh, what's his secret?
Yeah,
what is he?
exactly.
What is it? Is there something special he's eating? Is he doing? I'm just kidding, but I'm seriously what I just try to watch, what mannerisms and things. Well, Rob, I think I might have asked him some questions or something that was business related, and it led to him kind of just throwing some advice at me. And he told me something, and it never left. And it's why we are where we are. It's part of why we are where we are. He said, Blake, don't chase the money. Don't chase the money. You chase the act of taking care of people. No matter where you are, what you're doing, in business, out of business, if you chase the act of taking care of people, the money will follow. He said, if you start focusing on the dollar bills and you start focusing on the profit margin right now, then it's going to take away from the good job. He's like, right now, you just focus on taking care of people. And that's what I do. Not just my employees, or not just my customers, but also my employees. And even if I'm in the grocery store, whatever I'm doing, wherever I'm at, I try to do acts of kindness for people, even if it has nothing to do with my company. It's not just taking care of people and then they go talk about you. It does something inside of us. When you're a good person and you do good things, there's an energy that comes out of you. There is an energy about you that you carry yourself differently. It's like you're tricking your brain. It's like, I'm a good guy. I'm doing good things. Not tricking. I am. And it creates a different flow and a different energy. And that energy translates when you're in your office and you're dealing with your employees. Yeah. If you're in a bad mood, your employees are going to feel it. If you're in a good mood, your employees are going to feel it. So I try to stay on that good.
Even on the phone, if you ever notice, that's the thing is I always try to have a positive mindset no matter what I'm doing. Look, we're going to have our good days. We're going to have our bad days. I mean, I had the worst year of my life this past year with me being sick. but I always stayed positive, and I always stayed, and it's very easy for me to get negative.
So this month it has.
So, and it's just like, so it's very easy to drop into that. But you got to remember, like when you pick up that phone, if you're in a negative, they can still hear it.
I used to say they can hear you smile. And no, it's very important. That first phone call, like I knew that off the rip. I remember when I used to call barbershops. I don't call barbershops anymore because I don't get my hair cut anymore. I cut my own hair now.
Okay.
Ever since COVID, I started
Me too. I cut my own hair too.
Funny. But if you ever call a barbershop and they'll answer the phone like, "Hey, yo, what up?"
Yeah.
Like, wait a second. Did I call? Is this a business?
Right.
Hey, yeah, what you need? Like, what the heck is that? Like, I don't even want to go. I don't even want to go. I'd rather go to Supercuts where they're going to be all chirpy on the phone. And stuff.
Right.
But either way, no. That energy on the phone, that smile on the phone, they can hear you smile.
Oh, yeah.
They can hear you smile. But that energy, I will buy from somebody. I will pay more money, and I will buy from somebody that I like the sound of them on the phone, and I feel comfortable with them on the phone. And you know what's funny? We just did our company Christmas party yesterday, and we had 75 pounds of brisket. I forget how many pounds of ribs.
Wow.
But I said, I left my office like 4 or 5 days ago. I said, I'm going to go to Detweiler's. I'm just going to get a price. Let's see what the price is. And then I'm going to go over to Sam's Club. And, I get a good deal. Of course, everybody's going to get a good deal at Sam's Club. And I said, most likely we'll just get it from Sam's Club, but at least I'll stop at Detweiler's and I'll compare prices. This is a true story. True story. So I go on down to Detweiler's. I look at the meat. The guy even pulls it out. He's like, all right, yeah, this is about yada, yada, what you need. And gives me a price on it or whatever. The guy was so nice. And I even said, well, I would buy it right now, but I don't have room in my freezer. Like, no, just leave it here. And I was like, do I have to pay for it? He's like, no. I was like, I want to pay for it. He's like, no, you can't pay for it. I was like, I want to pay for it. He's like, no, it's fine. Here, we're going to write your name on it. I was like, man, I don't even want to go to Costco anymore. I don't want to go to Sam's Club. The guy is so nice, and I like him.
Right.
He's just a meat guy. I never even saw him again in my life, but he was so nice. I'm like, that's it. That's my brisket. That's what we're eating right there. But it just goes to show a good person, a good voice, a good piece of energy, and they're going to go to you, and they should, because you should go and work with people you're comfortable with, especially right now. As much bad customer service is floating around right now, as much as this automation and AI everything and talking to people that aren't even in the same state, let alone the same country on the phone because they found a way to save money.
Yep, exactly.
No, we want personal experiences. That's what we want, and I feel like the people are getting back to it. Just like I love the personal experience I got at that guy. At that point, I was like, I'm not even going to go to Sam's Club and deal with whatever they got going on over there. I like it here. And that's that energy on the phone. That's that smile on the phone. If you smile on the phone and they call you, they're probably not going to call anybody else.
And that's the biggest thing. It's like, I think people miss that. And I think we've gotten so technically driven now because, like, everything's AI this, like you said, or this or that. And people are, and I don't know about you, but are kind of fed up with.
We're sick of it.
Sitting online. I called one company. I think I called Verizon the other day, and I was on hold for like 35 minutes. And then it's like, all the different options. Press this option, press that option. Like, I just want to pick up the phone now and talk to somebody. And I think that's the thing is, like, it's like, that's why, like, I really want to help small businesses, because the thing is that, it's nice to pick up the phone and talk to somebody. It's nice to, when I call, I ain't got to press 10 different buttons, or whatever. And so, like, I want to talk to a live person who's happy to be on the phone, that's happy doing the job that they want to do. And, and I want to return that. So, like, that way, when somebody calls me, it's like, they know that I'm excited to help them, and I think you're very similar. So I just want to kind of get back to a couple of things about you and your business. So Sunshine Movers, how'd you come up with that? Just because it's Florida, or the name? Yeah, I always love hearing stories about names.
She loves getting the credit for this one. That's Ashley. That's my other half. I say we're married, but there's no ring. We've been together for like 15 years. We have 3 kids. We own a house together. We own a business together. So that was Ashley, my wife. We got this giant yellow truck. It was all yellow, and she was like, "Sunshine Movers," and I was like, "There we go." That's how we did it. Yeah, choosing the name of your company is not that easy. You shouldn't just anybody who is trying to figure out a name for their company, do not do that. There are steps to this, and that is not how you do it. If we would have took those steps, what I know now, it would not be called Sunshine Movers, because it's too common. It's too easy to, we just had somebody copy us in Miami. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
I had a buddy of mine in Miami say, hey man, sorry to break it to you, but check this out. These people took all of our pictures of our trucks.
What?
They took pictures from our last company outing that we did at the Lightning Hockey Arena, Emily Arena. We had all my guys in yellow shirts, and they took those pictures and they blurred out the phone number on it, my trucks, everything.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so go figure. Sunshine Movers. It's a common name, and yeah. So if I was to do it again, it wouldn't be the same. That's how she's proud of that, and
right.
she should be. It was a good name. We won't hold the rest of the stuff against her or anything like that, but
because like I always and I bring this up a lot, and it's one of the things that I always ask, because like I'm always interested to see how people come up with their name. Where did it come from? How did you create that? Because there's so much, especially nowadays. Like it's hard to get the website, it's hard to get the Facebook page, it's hard to get this page, and so like there's really a lot that goes into it.
There's a lot that goes into it, and I'll give you a little piece of it, because I have pleaded with some of these guys that are my friends when they started a company. I pleaded with them. I was like, don't choose that name. It's bad. But you need a name that's going to... So the thing that I didn't realize, whenever you're choosing the name from a company, you have to look at what's your marketing going to look like. You have to look at... to go to the basics. You have to make sure that, one, the domain is available, because you need to be able to say, hey, go to sunshinemovers.com.
Right.
Not go to Sunshine Movers of Sarasota, the movers that are around the corner.com. They're not going to remember it.
Exactly.
And so you got to make sure that the domain is available. You have to make sure that there's nobody else with similar business name in that area that's going to, potentially pick up that search when somebody searches that name. Like, for example, Sunshine Movers, there's probably 100 businesses that start with Sunshine in this area.
Right.
But then you got to take it to the next level. You have to look at your marketing. You have to, the name of your business, if it has the actual service of what you provide in the name, that's great. Now it helps your SEO. The .com, having that, the .com, or at least it was years ago. I don't know if that's changed, but having the service of what you provide, like Red Dog Power Washing. I always use the same example: Red Dog Power Washing or pressure washing. I had a couple of friends of mine that started pressure washing companies, and I try to give them an example of why this is a good one. Red Dog Pressure Washing. Well, now your logo is a red dog. Your colors is a red dog. A red dog is going to be remembered over and over. Like, it's easy to remember. Obviously, it's not a great name. Why would you do that? It looks like Clifford. I'm just saying.
Right.
But when you think of the name of your company, think of how your marketing will look branched off of that.
Exactly.
I'll tell you this, because we're doing it right now. Sunshine is very, very difficult. To take a sun and use it for marketing purposes. Yeah, you have your sun rays. That's great. Where do you go from there? And I know, because we're beating our heads into the wall trying to figure out how do we manipulate this to make it like really solid, stand out, be different from others. It's hard. It's really hard to make the sun look good. But yeah, you want to dig into your marketing. You want to make sure that what kind of a company are you going to be? Are you going to be a quality company? Well, then the company name and whatever logo you put together needs to show quality. If you're going to be the cheapest in town, well, then maybe not go that route. Maybe go with something else. But yeah, the name of the company, it takes a lot more than just something that's cool. And that's the problem, is people, they want to have something cool to tell their friends. Yeah. Like that's the first thing when you start a business. Like, it's cool. I'm a business owner. Right. Here's my cool name.
Exactly.
But that's not how it works. You got to think of who's your target audience and how are they going to resonate with that name of that company.
Yeah, it's tough, and it's tough to sit there and think about, because like you gotta, because like I was asking Robert about Preferred Shores and how he came up with it, and and just Tweez and these guys, and and it does. It takes some time, but usually a lot of times it is where it just kind of comes to them and it pops in their head, and like, I like that, and so sometimes it's by accident, sometimes, but it's some thought, especially nowadays with everybody having a domain name. Like anything that you think is going to be good is gone, and so it's hard to make stuff like that.
I know I've got about 60 domain names that I own. Because it's like real estate. If you come up with something, I have business ideas, and I just go buy the domain up before anything. I don't even let it go any further. Just, okay, $5 mine.
Yeah, I've done that. I probably got I don't have 60, but I probably got about 15 that I bought just because I thought about it. And I was like, you know what? Let me see if that's available. And I was like, yep. So I might not be now, but maybe down the road. But it was something like that. So all right. So growing the company from just you and growing it to 40 employees, what was the biggest struggle with your growth?
Processes. processes, SOPs. You can create an SOP or a process, and then when you hit that next level on the ladder, that process or that SOP may not work anymore. And so when we grow, we focus on all these things like marketing. Okay, I gotta, if I want to do another $1 million a year, I know I got to ramp up the marketing. Well, there's a lot of other things too, like who am I going to hire, equipment. But a lot of people don't think about it. You got to go back into your processes and make sure that they're going to be okay. Like there's processes that we have that aren't perfect, and truthfully, there isn't a such thing as a perfect process. But it might be good enough to work now, but in a year, when we add that extra percentage or whatever, that little bit of unperfection in there turns into a big problem that could cost a lot of money. So that's one thing that we've learned as we've grown is going back into those processes and looking at what works and what doesn't work. I think another big challenge was culture. I'm such a big freak when it comes to culture. I just want it to be, I want everybody happy, and as we grow and we add employees, it's very easy to overlook something that could be a big problem, whether it be a particular person that shouldn't be there. Maybe he's got a little cancerous to him. That's what we call it, cancer.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that until they get in there 5 months in, 7 months in, 8 months in, and you're relying on him. And come to find out, he's got a bad attitude, and it's starting to have a ripple effect. So culture was a big one. The ebbs and flows of the moving industry is very tough because truthfully, we have busier times of the month, busier times of the year. So here's the reality of it. We have right now it's over 30 employees. Let's call it 25 of those are movers, okay? 25 movers. I know that we got 25 guys out today, slam busy. Tomorrow is a holiday, so this shouldn't count, but let's just say it's not a holiday. 25 guys busy today, tomorrow only 12 of those guys are busy. But the thing is that in order to get that business today, that 25, I need 25 guys.
Right.
Well, what about tomorrow when I only have 12? Like how do you play that? And it's the ebbs and flows. And the trick is you want, like up here's high, right? 25, here's 12.
Right.
You want to get that. You want to try to get it to
where it's steady.
A little bit more. You don't want to have that such a big dip. So it's trying to find things to keep them busy on the slow times. Or do we offer discounts for certain days? Because it's tough. Because truthfully, we have 25 guys right now. I know for a fact that we had multiple days this month that had been booked for so long, and we had turned down jobs. If I would have had 45 guys, I would have had 45 guys going out on some of these days.
Wow.
But I can't have 45 guys because we only have enough work to fill up 20 to 25 on some of these other days.
Right.
So it's the ebbs and flows to try to fill in. And that's one of the things that we're trying to deal with now is trying to find accounts, accounts that are going to consistently need us, that will have flexibility on the dates that we can do it. And that's where our warehouse comes in. So that's what we're trying to do right now. Is get a warehouse. We have a warehouse now, but we need a bigger one to facilitate what I'm trying to do. I have some things that I'm not going to talk about right now, but because I've got some stuff up my sleeve I'm working on in terms of business and adding services to my company and things like that. But we'll keep that one on a minimum. But what I'm willing to talk about.
I just have to have you back.
Well, hey, that's fine. Hey, man, hopefully 6 months. I just don't want to jump the gun. I don't want to give anybody the wrong idea. So hopefully in about 6 months we'll be where we want to be. But what a warehouse does provide is accounts that require storage. So this could be anything from furniture distribution to the final mile destination for people that are getting shipments of stuff. You have, a big one is like counters and cabinets.
Yeah.
So a lot of these companies, these counter and cabinet companies, they don't build them themselves. Some do, but some don't. And they go out and they measure it out and then they order it from somewhere else. Well, that somewhere else has to ship it. Typically, when they ship it in, the contractors aren't ready for it and it has to sit
somewhere.
So that's where a moving company could come into play. Comes into our warehouse, we hold on to it, and then we can take it out on a day that works for us. Because when a contractor says, "Hey, we're ready," they're not going to say, "I need you on Tuesday the 16th."
Exactly.
When you're moving and you have a closing date, you do. But when you have an account like that, they're going to give us the flexibility. They're going to say, "Hey, the unit's going to be ready for the cabinets in a week," and then we're going to look at it like, "Okay, this is a good spot." Now we're filling up that calendar,
right?
So I can get those ebbs and flows because I want 45 guys going out. Hopefully by the end of 2025. It's 2024 right now.
Yeah, got about a week left.
Yeah, I'm hoping in 2025. My goal is to double the size of the company, double the size of the crew, double the size of the trucks, everything. The end of 2025. That's my goal. I'll be honest with you, that was our goal this year, and we came up short, and that was because of that summertime hit. We were on track to do exactly that, and that summertime hit, it hurt. But
I think 2025, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of momentum going back.
Absolutely.
I think we're going to start, probably by April or May, because people ask me all the time, well, what do you think? How do you think the market's going to go? Because this is a question, rates and the market and everything else. I think we just need some stability, and then I think about April or so, I think we're going to start seeing that things are going to start correcting itself, and we're going to start seeing where we're going to be a lot busier, and then things are going to go. I don't think they're going to get crazy again like they did in 21, but I do think that we're going to start seeing a very different way of how business was especially in the real estate world. I think it's going to take till the end of the year for us to really get back on track, but I think it's going to start slowly creeping in.
It already feels like it. I watch the market every single day. There's a lot more houses being listed than there are sold right now, but the numbers on both sides, they're getting better and better. But yeah, the fact that there's more houses coming on the market, we're definitely going to start seeing, I believe, start seeing some prices drop, which I'm not happy to hear that because I just bought a house 2 years ago.
Well, that's what I mean by the correction. I think the correction in itself is going to be lower prices on people's houses. They're going to start. The realization is we're not in the 2021 market anymore, and if let's hope rates come down, then if we can get the rates down in the 5s, I really think we'll start seeing a big move, and you'll start seeing more people wanting to move. The thing is that what we're seeing right now is a lot of people, including myself. I bought my house in 2018, I think. Yeah, and so, but I was 2.75 on an interest rate. So why am I going to move and go to a 7% interest rate? So it doesn't make sense. If we can get in the 5s, okay, 5's not really great compared to 2.75, but I'm ready to move. And there's a lot of people out there that are itching to move and ready to go. It's just that's what's stopping them. And
that's a big reason to stop. I would not imagine too many people in those types of 3s and under. Why would you?
So it's tough. And the biggest thing is the only reason, for me personally is, the only reason I haven't moved is because I do want a little bit of a bigger house, and I want more land. So I'm in a community right now, so I wouldn't mind getting something where I have an acre of land or so. And so, but that's the biggest thing that's stopping me is just because I'm not going to go, and it doesn't make sense right now. Yeah. But if the rates got too a lot, back in the 5s again, I definitely start considering, especially if houses start stabilizing and people start dropping prices, because then we're okay. Then we're okay, well, we're kind of back to where we were because we're not overpriced. Right. Everybody started really overpricing. My house that I bought I could sell it right now for double what I paid for it. And it's just crazy that the market got like that. And so
it is. I remember when I was not a kid, but a teenager, I was thinking, man, $400,000 house is it.
Yeah.
I remember my mom's house in Bayshore Gardens. It was I think she paid $150,000 for this house. At that time, anything in the 3s were, in my opinion, those were the upper class. And then, I get to the point where I'm able to afford a house that's 3 or 4 or 5, and those houses are nothing. Those are what you get in Bayshore Gardens now.
Yeah.
So now for me, honestly, that same house that I wanted, that was 3, 4, or 5, that's now $1 million house.
I know.
Every bit of $1 million. And so it's tough for me. That's a brutal, crushing feeling for me, is that I have fought so hard. It's one of the biggest goals, is to have that beautiful house, and then you get to the point where you needed to be to get that house, and they just took it right away from me. And I got to wait, until we hit to that next point to be able to afford
Yeah, because that was the same thing that's really happened to us. It was like, okay, I got the house because my house was $350,000, and that was back in 2018. Beautiful home, single family home, right? And I'm like, all right, so, but I was ready to upgrade. I was like, well, I'll be here for a couple of years, and I'm going to upgrade. I wanted something, the house that I really wanted. But then all of a sudden, it shot up, and now that house is $1 million house. It's not like a $700,000. And I'm like, okay, I mean, so a $500,000 house really doesn't, especially in this area, get you much anymore. So that's where I think we need to see that stabilization coming in. People start realizing, hey, I'm not getting top dollar anymore for this. And you're starting to see that. You're really starting to see it on people, and it's terrible to say, but people that live on the water, because of the hurricanes that we had and flood insurance getting so expensive now that a lot of people can't afford them. So you're seeing these houses starting to drop. So start wrapping things up here, so I'm not keeping you here all day. So what's for your last final thought, what is one piece of advice that you would give to a business owner or somebody starting a business that you feel like was a game changer to you?
Well, I do have one piece of advice for anybody that's starting a company, because this is something that I learned the hard way. And one of the hardest parts in the early parts of my business was hiring my first employee, by hiring my first office employee. Hiring movers, not so much. That was, but hiring my first office employee. And looking back, the reason why it was so hard is because as a business owner, we don't have to have a SOP, a standard operating procedure.
Right.
We don't have to have a written process. And I like to call that the gray area. We can operate in the gray area all day long because we're always going to make the best choice for our company. But the problem is if you operate in the gray area without processes, without procedures, you never really put together a process. You just kind of go willy-nilly. It's gray all day long.
Exactly.
So then when you go and try to hire your first employee that's going to do, administrative things, and it's very hard because you don't even have a process for yourself.
Right.
And I just gave this advice to another moving company owner that was talking about hiring his first office admin. And I said, I gave him the understanding of gray versus black and white. And it's really hard to do this because we want to do it our way. The easy way, we just go into it. But truthfully, what you have to do is you have to write down your processes. When you're taking a call, what do you do from there? What are the steps that you do from there? When you're booking that customer, what do you do from there? Write them down. Document what you're doing. And then here's the hard part, the part that sucks, is then you have to do the job as if you're the employee. So you go back to those processes that you wrote down and make sure that you're doing them exactly as you have written. And if for any reason you have to change or go askew from that, then you need to go back and fix that process and rewrite it out. You can go on YouTube and figure out how to write out processes and stuff. You can use Google Drive. It's super simple, Google Words. But you can go in there and then you just have to adjust it every time and find a better way to write that process out. Once you can comfortably go through that process and it's correct and you did not have to deviate, you didn't have to change, now you know that process is ready to be handed off. But again, we don't need that. When I do estimates today, I will walk in the house. I don't use my inventory. I can 3 guys, 8 hours, call it a day.
That's because you know it, but like not everybody understands your process.
Exactly. So I had to transfer over to doing it the right way of doing an inventory, how to calculate that into hours and all this other stuff. And I had to get out of my gray area and take it into black and white so that I could hand it off to somebody. Luckily, I was so lucky to find Laura, who is my office manager. She loves when I call her name out on podcasts and everything else. But shout out to Laura. She came into my willy-nilly gray area. I had her ride with me for 2 weeks, and then she just grabbed the phone and just took off.
That's awesome.
And I got to tell you, that's like a needle in a haystack opportunity for her to just pick up and go like that. But truthfully, the best way that a business owner can get that first step out of the way is document what you do and write the processes out so you can hand them off.
That was interesting. That's it's the first time I've had a lot of different people on my podcast. And it's the first time I ever had somebody who's actually has said that, and then it makes so much sense thinking about it, because you don't think about we know the process, we know what we need to do, but we don't think about writing it down to give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
And that makes a whole lot of sense because you're just used to doing it.
Yeah. I'll say this too, why I love helping other people. I didn't go to college. I didn't even finish high school. So, these little pieces of information, there might be some people that think, that's whatever. To me, that's a big deal. And the fact that I learned that on my own, here's another thing. I don't like to admit this. I don't like reading. I don't like reading books.
Me neither.
I read. I try, but all this stuff, I figured it out on my own, and I'm super proud to have that information. And for me to kind of flex, honestly, to show, to feel good about, hey, this is something you figured out on your own. The biggest accomplishment to me is being able to take that thing that I figured out and teach somebody else. It's truth.
They said that I was watching this little documentary about business owners, small business owners, and they were talking about people that become business owners. Actually, a lot of them are people that struggled in school or was that. I won't say not the outcast, but just didn't like school because it wasn't their thing. But then you put them in the real world experiences, and they thrive in it. And so because they're used to thriving in it, and that's more their mentality. Like you, I mean, I barely graduated high school. I mean, I think I went to 1 or 2 semesters of college. Hated it. Hated to read. Actually had a learning disability when I was first in elementary school. I was put in a special program because of it. And so and when I look at it back and I go back to where I was and, and the success that I have now, it's just because I was driven. And I was driven because I wanted this success. But I've had so many ups and downs and so many falls and everything else and going through everything. But the thing is as long as you keep at it and you want it bad enough and you can treat people with respect and get to understand hey, how can I help you? And you will thrive in your business. If you can figure out how to help somebody else get what they need and help them grow their business or help them with whatever they need, it's going to come back to you. And so I think that's totally important. I think it's totally where most people get it wrong is they think about the dollar. How much money can I make? How much money can I do this? How much money can I get this? It's not about the money.
Change people's lives and everything else. You do something to help them, do something to change your life, introduce them to a new way of thinking, connecting dots. If I can bring one business owner to another business owner and it makes a difference for both of them, huge win all day long. And then that will always reciprocate to your business in the form of clients, support, having cheerleaders on every corner, hollering, Sunshine Movers, woo! I love that. And I'll keep on giving and they keep on giving. It's just a big circle of giving.
And one of the things I've realized coming from Baltimore and coming to Sarasota, Baltimore was a huge place, and I did lending up there, and completely different world in a city like Baltimore where nobody really knew each other. You come here in Sarasota, especially Sarasota area, everybody knows everybody in real estate. It's such a small knit community. We've got 10,000 agents, but I can tell you, the majority of the agents that I know and that I work with are the ones that the majority does the business here, and they all know everyone. Mm-hmm. And everybody understands it, and it becomes a very small community very quickly. And so and that's the thing is that you got to understand is those relationships mean a lot. So I want to thank you. We'll probably be here all day talking if we don't shut up. So I want to thank you for coming on and telling your story and bringing everything that you have. And hope you guys on the audience enjoyed everything. And don't forget to check us out. We'll be on the best place to check us out is YouTube, where you can sit here and you can watch it and listen to it. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Suited for Greatness. And I appreciate everything you guys are out there doing. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.